Hello, Bernsky here. You're listening to the interview series of Trancefusions recorded earlier this month when I caught up with Steve Birch for episode 32. We talked about a wide range of topics from mental health, producer advice, and the state of the psytrance scene and our musical heroes. It was a great interview with Steve and I really hope you'll enjoy the conversation. Before we do the interview, let's have a listen to one of Steve's favourite tracks, Sun Flickering Through Trees. Coming up now is the interview with Steve Birch for episode 32. But thanks for joining us on Trancefusions. So it's really good. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for inviting me, man. It's cool.
I guess there was actually one question I didn't put through officially. It was an interesting thing how I got to know you was it was GTG. It must have been 4 years ago now, was it? You were on GTG.
Yeah,
it
was a while ago.
Yeah, and it was something that John said, something that you were kind of like lost. I was curious as to, because he was sort of saying something, you went off in a different direction, kind of abandoned something. Were you working with him closely and then just sort of decided to go somewhere else and try something else?
Yeah, well, what actually happened was, I started off in the rave days, then sort of found sort of Goa trance sort of in the early 90s, and then sort of fell in love with sort of psytrance. So when I was getting signed, I was sort of a cross between the love of psytrance and the love of sort of euphoric trance. And yeah, I just sort of psytrance started to go very dark at that point, and I just wasn't really feeling it. And the euphoric sort of trance, melodic trance, was sort of taking over my love for music.
Yeah.
So I went down that road for a few whiles, and then it just started to get a bit sort of commercialized, really, like everything does after a while.
Kind of like where we are now, again.
Yeah, like where we are now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trance and psytrance, it sort of happened to the two.
Yeah.
So to be fair, I've sort of gone back to embracing this sort of dark side of psytrance again. It was sort of that, really. I sort of just took a step out and sort of almost went down the commercial route for a while, and then sort of woke up and thought, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I even did some pop projects and wrote stuff for radios and stuff, and did a few other things in between. But yeah, then I soon sort of went back on the dance floor again and got my love back for psytrance and sort of all things experimental, let's say.
Yeah, that I think it's the opening track in that set. I remember it now. I haven't heard it for ages, but it's like a little kid talking. Don't know if you remember it, but it's like some little kids talking about something, and it's about, I think, is it time travel, or I can't remember.
Yeah, that's sampled from. I love time travel films. I'm obsessed with them.
Yeah.
That was sampled from the Time Machine. I think there's three of them. So H.G. Wells' Time Machine is the second one, and it's sampled from there. And they talk about time travel and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was actually a track of mine which never got released. So I just used the intro for it. So maybe I'll put that out one day.
Yeah, I like that. That was I think you can kind of really pick up on how people are, like their personality almost in their music mixes. And like when I heard yours, it was something really, for me at the time, was really left field. I was actually in a fairly commercial-ish side of music at the time. So when I was sort of shifting across to where sort of John is with his sort of music. So when I heard your stuff, it was actually like completely on the other side. It was something like I'd never really heard before. Really, I guess it's psychedelic in not the music, but kind of like the themes that go in the music, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I think we got lost in the psy world, that too many people think it has to have like the pitch bendy sort of wow sounds going on and all the sort of squelchy sounds. And although that sounds great and it like makes you feel like you're in space and it's all, all very alien like. I think we've kind of lost what makes stuff psychedelic. And you're right. I mean, that set it's got a lot of tracks from my time travel album, I think, on there. But it does. It's a variety of tracks that takes you on a journey, like a psychedelic trip would, like life would. And I think you do find, which is probably what you found with that set, is that a lot of DJs will play the same style of trance for the hour or hour and a half, which is quite cool because that can put you in a trance with the right stuff, but it can also become quite boring on the dance floor if everyone does the
same. Yeah, that's true. So what kind of led you to doing the kind of music that you make now? I know you said something about the old rave scene. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, well, I've sort of come into my parents. Mum was into sort of 80s sort of electro music, really, or poppier side of it. My dad was into his sort of Beatles and that sort of stuff. So I was brought up not really properly into the dance music. My sister was into bands and that. So as soon as I found sort of the early rave scene, '93, let's say, that was it. I was away. I absolutely loved it. And then sort of not long after that, '95, '96, started to find Hallucinogen and Man with No Name, people like that. And likes the sort of the harder side of things. And that's where my psychedelic love started, really.
Man with No Name, that pops up now. Still, people still talk about him.
Yeah, he's pretty much a legend. Yeah. Yeah, he's written some quality tunes, and he's back on the scene. I mean, he's never really left the scene really, but he's back on the scene again now, writing some new stuff, and yeah, it's quite cool to see.
Yeah, and sort of what sort of stuff do you do to, keep yourself like happy and motivated, like for the studio or for DJing? Because we've all got to live life as well.
One of the main things I've found is probably meditation. It's there's a bit of a glitch there. So I think it could be my end.
No worries.
That's all right. I was just saying meditation's probably one of the biggest things that's I do to sort of chill out. I do that every day, sort of lunch breaks and after work. I like chilling out to. I don't know if you've ever seen the comedy Green Wing. That's really funny.
Comedy.
Yeah, it's like a psychedelic comedy set in a hospital. And it's called the Green Wing. Yeah, you can tell loads of caners and stoners have made it. It's brilliant. It's really funny. So that sort of stuff. And obviously, I was always on the sort of spiritual hunt of things. Have been for years. I think everyone is in their own sort of way.
Yeah.
And I certainly found that with the Psy scene that more than other scenes that you have chats with people when you're at, say, festivals or and sat in the grass and stuff, and you have proper deep conversations and learn a lot about yourself and other people, and people are very open and loving, and more so than in scenes I found before, just very caring, thoughtful people. And yeah, that to me. So whether I'm chilling out, I still like going off to clubs and festivals and just hanging with the people and being on the dance floor, because that's what it's all about to me, really.
Yeah, well, that's something I've noticed, like with you and just your posts and the way you operate on Facebook, is that you're like a really caring, like loving kind of person, and it's really good to see. And that's through your sort of your mindset, through meditation and just keeping a what would you call it, like a I guess it would be an even keel, I guess.
Yeah, no, it keeps you balanced.
Balanced.
It certainly keeps you balanced. I've suffered with, everyone's sort of suffered things throughout their life, but yeah, it's quite severe depression when I was younger, and high anxiety and sort of bipolar. It was quite severe for a while, and meditation and. Certainly not trying to sort of say everyone should do it, but psychedelics, certainly magic mushrooms taken once a year, and meditation really does just keep me level and balanced. It really does help. But yeah, it's really fun. Years ago, I worked with a guy, and I remember him saying that people need to earn their respect and stuff like that. And to me, that respect should be given to everyone. You should love everyone, and then if anyone fails to sort of reciprocate that back to you and stuff after time, then maybe they're not the people you need to give love to. But I think a good starting point for anyone is give love to everyone and care for everyone. And,
love first and then go from there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so. I think that's
so. What do you do with situations where you don't hit it off with people when you meet people with love first? Do you just pull away and just try avoid those people?
I'll give them more love and then more hugs. They'll never stop me from doing that. Some people you get on with, and some people you just don't gel with, and maybe it's not the right time to gel with those sort of people at that point. But sometimes I found some of the, even maybe in relationships, some of the hardest relationships that I thought at the time, no, these are a nightmare, I don't want to be here. Actually, I've learned quite a lot about myself throughout those times. So,
well, I think that's the thing. And I think it's something I forget too, that you actually can learn a lot from those shitty relationships or crappy relationships with people. and you do learn about yourself, I reckon, and how to deal with it better in the future. Do you watch or follow or know of Joe Rogan and all that?
Oh man, I was going to bring him up. Yeah, I love Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Do you know what? As I was thinking of stuff I could do, you said like in my spare time, podcasts I listen to all the time. Joe Rogan podcasts. Duncan Trussell, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's quite a few of them. I love it. I love it. Love their talks. Love the way they go into deep stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously been doing it for ages, and he's got like I think 1,020 something or 1,100 episodes, I think, just for his Joe Rogan podcast, and now he's got his MMA line as well. So he's got plenty of practice. But I was just looking at one of his sessions the other day. I was thinking, oh, that's how I want to do it, where you're just super chilled and it's just basically just hanging out and having a chat.
Right. It's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, what sort of contemporary artists at the moment that are floating around that sort of you look up to, and are sort of making a good big impact on the scene?
A few that I've been playing out that come to mind. One Function. Been playing a lot of this stuff at the moment. Yes Tomorrow. And then there's local guys as well, like from London. So you've got Encore. And you've got Neil Moore, Jackan as well from Amsterdam, and there's some girl DJs coming through as well. We need more female DJs as well, more female producers, and there's some awesome ones around London and around the UK coming through. At least sort of started to make music and stuff. And I think we need to sort of help grow the scene that way a little bit more, be a bit more balance. Yeah,
I think the only girl I know that's sort of, I guess, really hit a stride is Nikki S.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. I've seen her. I was with them on Saturday. She was playing at the local club, and she's brilliant. She makes some brilliant music, and more of them need to sort of come through really. Sort of really address the balance. Nice to have a female touch with some of the size stuff.
And she says, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say. But yeah, we need to do the variety in the production as well. It's like we were sort of mentioning earlier on, that a lot of stuff it does sound the same. It's hard to tell sometimes a producer from another producer, which is a bit of a shame.
There seems to be a bit of there's a trend happening. I know that I think Daniel Lesden come out and put a post recently about it, and then he dropped, I think, Asterix was in that when he mentioned it in his post about the similarity in music, and then I think Ace Ventura said something as well about the music, and then I think I just saw recently that Static Movement actually said a similar thing, that he's gone and made an album or a release and tried to keep it different. So it's obvious that the guys they know what's going on, and I guess those higher profile guys are saying that there's something, wrong with Psy at the moment. So
yeah, well, it's like it's hard because I love the Psy sound. I love the way where it's gone to at the moment. It's produced really well. It sounds really powerful to dance for, and that's great. What I found is I tried to experiment with some unusual stuff. Try and do something different with the bass lines.
Yeah,
and when you're playing stuff out and you're playing it with this other stuff, which has got that mid-power bass and that low-end bass, if you haven't got that in your new tracks, they do sound weaker on the dance floor. They do sort of feel that you've lost that. Although it might have the real powerful stuff, just as much power, people sort of feel like they sort of need to drive and dance to that sort of that mid-power as well. So it's trying to find the right sounds to sort of take over that. And my new Juice stuff is a little bit more slower, progressive. I've used sort of some Sibient sort of percussion going on, and like sort of side dub percussion going on, maybe trying to make it a bit different. It's got not much mid-power bass, but the bottom end there is just as rolling and as powerful.
Nice.
So maybe there needs to be a break from that, and what it is down to, it needs promoters. Promoters need to start taking risks and getting new people on board and experimenting with new acts. So it's it's a job for both of us.
Yeah, well, I remember it was about a bit over a year ago. Earthcore was moved up here for a little bit, and they just did one single event in Darwin. And I actually played a fair few of your tracks and some Digital Blonde stuff. And I mean, I could notice a difference because we were supporting is it X Noise, I think, Major 7, and like their productions, like their stuff was just like it just blew the ceiling off the club. It's just just another level. But at the same time, like I'd much prefer to listen to that more organic kind of music that you know you and Ricky kind of make, where it's not like produced and you know squashed to the absolute maximum on the production side. There's more life to it.
I did point that actually. Some of the mastering guys have said to me that when I've sent over some sort of tracks and say like, yeah, this is sort of stuff I'm playing out, they're saying, well, they've been compressed and mastered to the absolute max.
Yeah.
And said, if you hear more of an hour of that, he said, your ears are going to get tired. And you do find that, you know, you listen to them for an hour, you don't really want to be on the dance floor for much longer because it's so compressed.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Like you've probably put your finger on it. We've lost it to trying to make it sound as big as fat as possible as to where making it actually sound musically nice and maybe, you know, a bit different and experimenting.
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me of experimenting. The Neon album.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing stuff. Like,
Awesome.
I was thinking about, because I grew up in the 80s and like the actual 80s music at the time wasn't as good as, like, can you just imagine some 80s movies actually done with like today's tech and like Ricky's, you know, neon
Ricky
approach to it?
Yeah. Another level, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah. Because it was like, I mean, 80s was just, I guess, you know, cheesiness just typified the times and the actual synths at the times, like just the way they sounded was really cheesy. But you can hear it in his new album that all those sounds are there, but they just completely like reinvented and it just sounds so awesome, really. But yeah,
he's done an awesome job, Ricky. I really like the Neon album and that. And I always like Ricky's productions. He's always gone out there and sort of there's a lot of depth to them as well. I mean, this is the other thing actually. Going back to what we were saying, always what you're saying now as well. That when you're making a track, I make it firstly for myself. I've got to enjoy it. I've got to love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then the other aspects come into it. Is this going to work on the dance floor? How's it going to work? I mean, some of my tracks and some of my albums I've literally just made for listening necessarily, you know, not necessarily playing out, and I'll do remixes off of them, and then those ones will be the stuff I'll play out.
Yeah.
But you look as a producer and thinking, okay, where's this going to sit into let's say a festival? Like I went to a Noisley festival recently, amazing festival in the UK. There's one I was with John actually at.
The one you had the photo together a little while ago.
Yeah, that's. We both took our minibuses along and like we hung out. It was awesome. We spent 3 or 4 days together there. It was really good fun. And we were saying that when you're writing music, that you're looking where's this going to sit on dance floor? Is it going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock in the morning? And if you haven't got the same sort of sounds, then your music's not going to sound right being played amongst the other stuff.
Yeah.
So so as much as everyone wants to do something different, everyone's stuck in this cycle of going, well, it's still got to sound right if I'm playing it each time. So I think, like anything, it'll be a slow progression away from it, and we've started to now. Everyone's started to talk about it, and I think with like what Ricky's doing as well, Karen doing something different. Hopefully, when you do stuff will be different. My Merlin stuff's going to be sort of quite sort of psychedelic stuff that's out now. Hopefully, with a little bit of a different spin on it. But my Steve Birch stuff for the Duke is going to be where the sort of change is going to happen for me.
Yeah. I know one of the things that sort of I pick up when John does his intros for either a track of the month or a guest mix, he often talks about, like, I think the artists that stand out the most to him are the ones that aren't trying to fit into one category. They're usually grabbing little bits from different genres and then kind of creating their own sound. That's something that I've noticed that he loves. He loves talking about that, and he loves seeing artists do that sort of thing where they're, I guess, creating their own mold, breaking the mold, then creating their own.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, it's like, I suppose if you're cooking some food or you're making something, that you can have a dish a certain way using certain elements, or you can sort of experiment and then sort of create something different, taking some Indian, taking something else from it, making something, sort of new. Sometimes it works and sometimes it tastes horrible,
Yeah.
But sometimes you can combine on the right ingredients and it will just work. But then, like anything, eventually everyone will just copy it.
Well, that's the cycle. I mean, I've read a few of his posts, and they've been about the cycle of underground, and that feeds the commercial, and the commercial will grab something and then commercialize it, and then you guys have got to go and find something else and create something underground.
The scenes start to go, and especially psytrance. If you go on to maybe to say Beatport now, there's quite a lot of dark psytrance coming out now, and it's like they sort of, it happens every time they sort of, the inner psytrance underground world rebels. I mean, and then it sort of scares off all the new EDM sort of selfie taking sort of kids away, and all the real hardcore people that love it will stay.
Yeah.
But if anything, it's great for the scene that it's growing it. It's made more people aware of it. Like the internet, it did sort of kill the money in the music and everything else. But what it did do is grow it, made a lot more people, sort of know who you are, because they can get your tracks worldwide, either free or for £1, So there's good and bad with everything, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you see that, or have you heard that the Spotify are going to be doing like monetized DJ mixes? Everyone gets a little piece of the pie.
Right, I didn't know about that. Okay.
Yeah, so the way, I think you already know how Spotify works, is that everyone gets little bits. So the DJ gets something for putting the set together, and then each artist that's featured on that set also gets a little snippet, little cut from that. So it's a change of moving away. I think it was Beatport, something that may end up disappearing after a while.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, so I need to do a mix a day of my own tracks then.
Yeah. Yeah.
2-hour mixes each day, yeah. Try and get some money back from it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I'm aware of it and the lack of money in it. But I think if you know about it and you're aware of it, then you can just create music and just enjoy it for what it is, really. And then obviously you've got to work a day job, but
yeah, it's fun. I went for many years without doing a day job, and then the internet came around, and I had to go and retrain. Yeah. I was still getting DJ work, and then obviously different relationships and stuff. I had long distance relationships, so music became a little bit less at that point, which I kind of regret, but you can have no regrets. So I kind of learned a lot of stuff about myself then, and realised music number one where I need to be. But yeah, it's funny, the music scene, and you've got to try and scrape where you can make money from. I'll do gigs, sometimes 3 a weekend, and I'll get back at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Then I'm up at 6 o'clock Monday morning, ready for work or whatever. And people don't necessarily see that, because you only see sort of some of the sort of the very top DJs, and just them sort of having a bit of time off. I mean, bless John, he works so many hours. I don't know how he does it sometimes. So he does need that time off during the week. Blimey.
Yeah. Well, I only ever catch him here in Australia, and like I catch him on his long haul flight, and he usually does his 3 back-to-get-back gigs in, I think it's Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. Yeah. And he's playing OTCs, I think, in just about all of them. And he's broken. By the time I see him, he's had pretty much no sleep, and he's obviously hyped and excited about doing the set, and then he's got to wind himself down enough to get some sleep, and then do it all again the next day. That's like the extreme of
yeah. I mean, longest I played was years ago, house parties, friends, hours, but proper set in a club is 5 hours, and I was knackered. I can't imagine doing like the 8 hours, 12 hours, then having a few hours sleep and doing it again.
Yeah.
I just, it's an amazing job, and they must absolutely. Yeah, you do love it. Like you love it. Like everyone loves it. But yeah, it does take it out of you.
Yeah. And what do you reckon are the chances of getting you out in Australia?
Oh man, I'd love to. Always wanted to come out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd certainly come out and play, and certainly like to do some deals with people if there's anyone running festival nights.
Have you been here before, or?
No, never been before. Played out in America a few times, sort of the opposite, but not Australia. So yeah, I would love to. So if you know anyone who runs clubs, nights, anything, you know.
Yeah, well, there's lots of. I mean, there's loads of. I don't know whether you know this, but the disciples of Juf is heavily represented by Australians, and I think there was a mini poll they did a little while ago, and I think most of the people that make up the group are Aussies.
Wow.
So there's loads of people here that love like what you do, and I love it. And I think it's a thing that could happen. But yeah, it'd be good to get you out here. Yeah,
it'd be nice to come out and play. I mean, hopefully, you know, every time I have a new batch of tracks out, I get new promoters contact me and get more gigs out of it. This year certainly been one of the busiest years for a few years. So yeah, I think maybe once more music comes out, that may certainly help with promotion, which kind of links back to what we were saying about before. But there's too many DJs and not enough music, you know, that's different. And everyone wants to be a DJ, but not many people want to take the time to be a producer. And that's where we're at, where DJing is actually quite easy.
It is.
You know, it's the harder side of things. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with that, but
that's all right. But like, because I'm a next gen DJ, so I came in on the MP3/sync era.
Yeah.
So, like I don't have I don't have space or money at the time to give like proper like, you know, techniques or whatever, and so like if someone threw some vinyls in front of me, like I can't do it.
No.
And it's just something where it's not. I'd only be doing it just to prove a point. Like I don't have to mix on vinyl to show that I can create a set. So,
well, okay, I think I know what you're trying to say here, and let me say, if you're going back to a car in the 1800s, early 1800s, you have to wind it up at the front, you have to do all this other stuff, 4 clutch pedals going on. Now, if you stuck me in one of them, I wouldn't have a clue how to do it. I can drive a car.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So,
yeah,
you know, just by saying I can't control one of them doesn't mean that I can't drive. You know, and if you use the manual, doesn't mean you can't drive. You know, so I don't know if that's the point you were getting at all, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go buy an 1800 Spuddy car just to prove that I can drive an 1800 style car. That's true. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's not practical. It would be cool, but yeah, I think the argument's going. I think it's slowly going away now because I think the controllers and just the CDJs and the way they're changing because they're morphing into controllers as well. The CDJs. So yeah, it's a topic that used to be really hot when I first started doing it. It was all about you know, MP3 versus vinyl. But yeah, actually I'm not sure why I started talking about that, to be honest. But
well, it is a funny thing because if you there's those people where every week it comes up on Facebook or one of the chat forums. If we stuck some 1210s in front of someone, where do you use them and all that. But like we said earlier on, the actual DJing side of things is quite easy. You know, I was quite known for it amongst my friends to put a vinyl on within like 3 or 4 seconds. I've got it in time, pitch done, off the mix go. You know, that sort of thing is pretty easy. So when sync comes around, you know, stuff like that, if it's on or off, it makes no difference to me whatsoever.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any difference. But there's some people that will just go, if they're using sync or if they're using tracks or if they're using link ups, it's cheating. Well, no, if they're playing good tracks and they've got a good presence behind decks, and that's kind of irrelevant to me anyway. You know, some people are a bit more purist and don't like it. I mean, I went down the CDJ route, you know, begrudgingly from John saying, no, you know, vinyl's dead. You've got to do it. You've got to. So I did it and went down the CD route, and really enjoyed it. And then I played at so many places where they maybe had dodgy decks or sticky turntable with wheels and mixes were funny. So in the end, I bought a laptop and a tractor because I thought, well, everywhere I go, I know I've got exactly the same setup everywhere.
Yeah.
I've got my effects, all of my tracks on there. If I need to play for another 4 hours, I can do because I've got everything. And it just made it a lot easier. And I found a lot more people in the scene are starting to do that now. And certainly, not using vinyl anyway.
Well, I've done that. I've dragged my own CDJs, which is I've got the big coffin case thing, and it's heavy,
Right.
and I've taken that to gigs because I've been burnt with just shitty club equipment, and it's like some of it's just like it's not even, your play button doesn't work, and it's just atrocious.
Yeah, I had one no control. You had pitch controller on the side, but you had no way of. So if you drop it in, it's slightly out. You had no way of moving it. So you had to just really hope you dropped it in on time. It was like, and that was the last time. I was like, no more.
Yeah. Well, I think tractor's the way to go, isn't it? Really compact.
Yeah, I think so. Just to me, anyway. One thing I did find though, I was DJing in Portugal this year, around a few places, and a lot of the DJs just had a CD wallet or USB sticks, and there's me with my bag, with my laptop, and and it was like I'm dragging this thing around, and I did envy them just with their USB sticks.
Actually, I picked up something you said before. So you get a few nibbles when you release something. You get people approach you and say, "We want a gig from you," from your releases.
Yeah. Every time a release comes out, I get more interest, and generally get a new promoter contact me or get some more work out of it. It doesn't always happen, but most of the time, that's sort of, or even a remix or another label asking for music and stuff. And I'm very settled with John. I know what John wants and stuff, so out of all my tracks, I can go right. That's all suited with Duke, and then I'm just in a remix for Jay, who runs Tribal Village in London.
I've heard of Tribal Village. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a massive, famous night in London. But I played there a few months ago. We'll be back there again next year. And I'm just doing a remix for his label, which is sort of full on stuff. And that's different from any of my other Merlin stuff. I'm going really quite dirty with it, a bit darker.
Nice.
Maybe a reflection of the scene. Maybe, I don't know. But
it sounds like you're in a good place. Like people. Like you as an artist, you sort of know what you want to make generally, and people know what you make, and so then they basically say, hey, when you've got something, we want it. So you pretty much have an open door policy with labels. They just know your product.
With some, there's 3 or 4 labels. Yeah, I mean, Duke, has never turned anything down or anything I've sent them. And they've quite a good working relationship with most of them, to be fair. And it's only really been this last year or so I've really settled on what I really want from my Steve Birch sound and from my Merlin sound. And they might vary a little bit, but you're going to have some sort of consistency, I think, from now on as to the exact sort of style of sound you're going to be getting from those.
Actually, you want to explain the Steve and Merlin thing? Because I actually thought they were sort of like one and the same, but they're not.
Well, they are. Steve Birch is more for the progressive side of things, I suppose. Yeah. Sort of probably going up to maybe 138 BPM, that sort of stuff. And I can play the normal sort of prog sound, which we've got playing out in a lot of my sets recently, because this sort of place has been suitable for. And then my Merlin stuff will be more full-on psychedelic stuff, probably from 140 to 145, 150 maybe max.
Right. So your last release, the big album one, the Alice in Wonderland, was it?
It was Wonderland, but Alice in
Wonderland. Sorry. Yeah. So that one was your Steve Birch.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's more melodic, more progressive, and a bit more experimental with that sort of sound. But again, trying to avoid maybe the more sort of commercially sounding psytrancey sort of stuff.
Well, it definitely didn't sound commercial when I listened to it. So I've played a fair few tracks over the episodes on Trancefusions over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
So they all sound good. I won't.
Look, I'm gonna have to shoot back a bit. Do you want to have another sort of chat at lunchtime and just have a think about what we've recorded and see what other stuff? want to ask and go from there?
We can do that if you want. I'm free. The only other we've actually kind of covered the couple of questions just through conversation, which is pretty cool. Back for round 2.
Yeah, right.
So what do you do? You work at home?
Yeah, I've got a room that I do it in, which has got a kitchen and stuff, and then I've got a separate bedroom, and so yeah, it's all in my apartment, in my flat.
Kitchen.
But yeah, I've got a kitchen here, so I can have some food, some nice bits, so if you can see.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's just in a room. It's like my lounging area and kitchen all in one. And, that's where my studio is as well.
So what's your job?
I live and work at a holiday home. So I do the gardening for them and the cleaning for them.
Wow.
And in return, I get a property to sleep in and stay in. So
that's free rent.
So it's free rent, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to be a musician. Do the music thing and save money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the saving money thing, it does happen sometimes, but there's often a plug-in I see or something I want that I get.
Yeah, plug-ins. Jesus, they're a killer.
Yeah, they are a nightmare. I've decided to stop buying loads now and just stick with a few. But I'm basically I'm updating my system very soon. So I'm going to sort of go through all the plugins and find out what I use and what I don't use, and sort of cut some out.
So yeah, you've done the usual producer thing then, and just overloaded on plugins just through the course of producing.
Yeah, they build up, and I've got my certain favourites that I use. I do love the sausage fattener. That's quite things. Makes sounds quite gritty in that. I mean, you produce you know yourself how it's like you start collecting things and it's just one specific sound, you know.
I try and be a bit sensible with buying plugins, because I often read what people say, and I try to learn the lessons without having to learn them myself. So I'll actually really pay close attention to what people say. So one of the biggest pitfalls is I need every single plugin. And so I've just been really selective about, but if someone says, sausage fattener is good, then I'll be like, okay, I'll go get that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It does fatten up the sound. It does work, but then there's certain stuff going on. It sounds too fake, or it sounds like you're trying to push it too much. So then you get to know what it's going to be used on and stuff. But there's loads out there. There's so many out there.
I guess with the producing thing, is it more about using things in general sense? Is it about being more subtle with things rather than trying to just max out a certain type of effect or whatever it is that plugin kind of does? Is that what your approach? This could go a bit nerdy this session too, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. My approach. It's so funny. Sometimes I just try and push the knobs the way they're supposed to go and do something really random, just see what it does.
Yeah.
So I do push it to begin with, but it's sort of, I think more subtly. Sometimes you can hear tracks that are over compressed. I mean, if you listen to it and you're like, wow, that track sounds really fat and really big. Yeah. But you listen to the whole album of that guy's stuff or girl's stuff, and after 3 or 4 tracks, you're like, I'm tired, my ears.
Yeah. Because
he's just pushed all the sounds too much. Which is what we were saying back before, So yeah, I do try. I mean, one of my friends, he loves his compressors. He's always buying compressors and loads of different things, and he'll add this tiny little bit of compression on each track, and then each sound. You take them all off, it makes a massive difference. But put them all on individually, and it's like this slight, increase in quality or sound volume or whatever he's trying to achieve from it. So yeah, I think less is more, and the same with arranging as well. I found sometimes I throw too much on my tracks, and then when I play them out, it sounds too cluttered. So
that's probably something that I think it's a common mistake too. I think for newer producers or guys that are really starting out learning, is that they try and get as many sounds as they can in. And when you actually do hear, I think, good tracks, you can kind of tell that they're actually fairly simple. They just do the simple things really well. That's what I've learned anyway, just in the little the while I've been doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, everyone's always learning. And yeah, I mean, there's some of the tracks that I've put out. I know after a little bastard looking back, like, oh god, can't believe I put that track out. Sounds awful or whatever. Some people may love it or whatever. But I've been, I've known to sort of put up some tracks, and some stuff really works, and some stuff doesn't. And I think that's what you just learn.
I've actually got a good question for you. Like, how long did it take you to actually like your own music? Because I know a common thing is to like, it's seriously like, I know it's that feeling where when you first give birth to it, you fall in love with it, and then you go through those different phases where you like it, then you hate it, and then when you go and you finish it, and then you're like, God, I'll never play it, and I never want to hear it, and then someone will go play it. And you're like, and they love it, and that's you get that great feedback, and you're like, oh, I can't even stand that track. So how long has it taken you to sort of deal with that sort of stuff?
Yeah, quite a long time. There's certain stuff, especially where if I work with for ages, like the Wonderland album, stuff for ages or play. It's really funny. I mean, my new Juve stuff at the moment, my new EP that I've been working on, it was going to get released. I had the masters back, and I just wasn't. I played a couple of tracks out, and I just wasn't happy with the energy it was giving. So I've reworked them, and now I'm really, really happy. I've put the energy like back into the tracks, play them out, and they sound just as powerful. Is what I'm playing out with, which is something that we were talking about before. Trying to find that sort of not trying to have copy everyone else, but still having that power on the dance floor. But yeah, I mean, those tracks, I do love them, and I can't wait to play them out. But I can't stand them right this moment.
Yeah, I was talking to Tim. Tim Penner was actually talking about it. He said it took him a really, really long time to actually like his own stuff. But he felt like he said that he's at that stage now where he actually likes his own stuff. So he kind of feels like he's in that nice place as a producer where you kind of, what you're about and what kind of sounds you want to make. And so he's comfortable, but I think that's...
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a journey though, that one. I think you have to do a fair few tracks and...
Yeah, I'm certainly got there now. I mean, my next sort of Steve Birch stuff coming out with Duke, I think the production's probably some of the best I've done. I say that, and someone else may say, no, this is awful. I like your old stuff. But and I think being out playing DJing was really, really helped. Really does help. But yeah, I've started to like my stuff a lot more and appreciate it for what it is, and a lot more confidence with it as well. So yeah, that takes time.
Yeah, that does take time. Yeah. Have you got any advice or tips for guys that are just starting out, or maybe they're just getting used to their DAW or DAW and
yeah, I would say choose one is never lose track of what you first loved about music, what got you into, whether dance music or whatever. Because sometimes I sort of find myself writing a new track and going, I'll get that synth, get that sound, and then as soon as I've got to that stage, it's like, right, reset. No.
Yeah.
Like, even delete some of the presets I've made and just get rid of it, because you're going to have the same. And if you want to have the exact same sound and all that throughout your tracks, that's great. But it's like an artist using the same colours in every picture.
Yeah.
So I would say listen to some of your favourite artists, maybe sort of find out what you really like about the tracks. Go out onto the dance floor, dance, DJ. The big thing that I found, which I've always been a dancer. I've always been, fully. As soon as I'm finished DJing or before I'm back on the dance floor again, I love it. And that's where you'll find what works and what doesn't, and what's good and what's not, and what you like. So first thing, get on the dance floor, experience what it's like, and then find out exactly what you like. And then you'll find it easier when you sit down in the studio to go from there. But don't copy. I would say if someone's using a sound, think, okay, I like that sound, but let's use a completely different sound and try and engineer it or process it in a similar way and see. And then eventually you'll come up with different stuff. I'm a sucker for it. Some new Jufon, for instance, got a couple of classic size sounds in it, but it just worked with the tracks. And when I played it out, it just seems to work with it.
There's the interesting thing with what you're saying about, I know you said that you can maybe have the same or similar, I guess, building blocks for tracks, but at the same time you want to avoid that lack of creativity and just, basically being, what's the word, unoriginal. But then you've also got that situation where you end up with that sound that people can pick up your, kind of like your fingerprint when it comes to productions. Like I know that, like, for example, I think Guy Barone has a really particular sound, and I can hear a track of his and I don't even know it's his track, but I can tell when I hear a new track, they're like, that sounds like Guy Barone, and then boom, it's Guy Barone. Yeah. So do you find that you've got a bit of a, even though you try and keep things fresh, you still end up kind of following that fingerprint for yourself, or you?
I think so, naturally, without realising it. And I don't know quite what it is, because I've had this chat recently with someone who said the same. He'd followed music for ages, and I just happened to be DJing at night. And he's like, "Oh, I love some of your old stuff." I mentioned the tracks. He said, "Oh, I could tell your tracks. You've got that sort of, that thing." And I was like, "What is it?" He went, "I don't know." And I was like, He said, you can tell some of my tracks. I mean, that's just him. Maybe particularly like music, and some people may not be able to tell it apart. Some people may be able to. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. I always try and have some sort of organically live sort of made sound that I've made in the studio, recorded somewhere in one of my tracks. One sound I use quite a lot in some of my tracks, even if it's subtly, is I've got a big, massive glass bowl at one point, put loads of marbles in it and recorded it. And just them bouncing around, dropping around, put ping pong ball in there and a few other things. And I use that quite a lot in my tracks, whether it's subtly pitched down, up high. So they're in quite a lot of my tracks, and people don't know that.
There you go. Yeah.
So, and there's one track I used on my Wonderland album. It's actually a Wonderland track. And it's sounds like one of the side sounds pinging around. And I actually got I don't know if you know the instrument. It's a Jew's harp. You put it in your mouth and you go dwang, 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 dwang. And you hit a metal bit on the end, and it makes like a dwang sound.
Yeah.
So I pitched it all up and played around with it. And someone actually said to me, "What synth did you make that on?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't." That was just a recording of me playing the instrument.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? To make those original sounds.
Yeah, just try and, so it still has an element of both people say they thought it was a VST or they thought it was a synth. So it still has that sort of element to it, but no one else is going to come up with that sound because I recorded it myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, I don't always try to do that, but that's one thing I like to try and have some sort of natural element in it, and whether it be wind or water, or I love water sounds.
Yeah,
especially when you take psychedelics and you're on the dance floor and you hear water. It's incredible.
Do you like purchase, or you actually just get your own water sounds and just record them?
I'm all recording myself.
Yeah.
Some stuff I've done, but I've got lots of rivers and waters and streams around here. It's waterfall as well. It's beautiful. In the, I can't remember what track it was, Journey track, I've got a train that goes across from left to right on speakers. You can probably hear it subtly. You hear it in headphones. And there's a train that's not near past, so I got to go out of the record the train going past. So yeah.
So that's a good tip for like people starting out. Then is just get out there and record some real life sounds. Yeah,
I think so. And like we were saying before, we've got stuck with psytrance. Well, a lot of psytrance, not all. That has to be very very alien and spacey. And we're sometimes, I think we're missing kind of the earth element as well. Stuff.
Yeah.
Although it's great to be in the middle of the Space Invaders game and you're on the dance floor and that's epic and I love it. But we are missing that earthy feel to it, and hopefully that's what I'm going to bring back from my new Steve Birch stuff, that organic sound.
That's really good. I love it. I think like with everyone, we all get sort of stuck in our little familiar paths with Beatport and our artists we like to follow, and sometimes we don't actually just branch out a little bit more. So I've got to do it too.
Yes, it's funny you mention that, because there's sometimes I go for the certain, when I head out to Beatport, or let's say Beatport for instance, and I'll go and search for certain stuff. But a lot over the last sort of year or so, I'll just go in there and I'll search and I'll go name and I'll shoot off to another name I don't know, go to another label I don't know, and try and get as deep as I can in there. And most of the time you'll find some good tracks and some good producers, and I think that's a good way of doing it. But yeah, it's so easy to get stuck in buying like all just the Ace Ventura or Asterix or and Freedom Fighters. I love Freedom Fighter stuff at the moment. Really, really love. And Loud as well. They're doing something different, but
Yeah, well, that opening track to your guest mix, I didn't know it was Freedom Fighters until we spoke about it. But that was just, there was something about that track. It's just like,
I know.
It's just mouth-watering, and like it's one of those things where there's those times when you listen to a set and there's that opening track, you're just like, yep, I'm in for a real, really awesome ride. You just know it, and that's what that track was when I listened to it. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because I'd already done my new sort of Steve Birch stuff, and when I do try something new, I try not to look around too much because I don't want to copy anything. So if I'm going for something new, I go, right, I like this element of that, I like this element of this, and I'll sort of put something together. And then when I come to sort of mixing it, then I sort of need some sort of reference maybe. And that's one thing I hadn't used reference tracks for years. I only started to use reference tracks.
I was just about to ask you about that, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. So and then so that Freedom Fighters track is a similar sort of line as this my new Steve Birch stuff. And I heard that Boom was it Boom this year, Boom Town this year, and it was quite progressive, full on. That track came on, and like everyone on dance floor was like, whoa!
Yeah.
And when it kicked in, like you could see the looks around, like, what is this? This is insane. And from going from the rolling bass lines to having that, that did fill up the space that was needed. So then that inspired me to go back and go, okay, what's missing from my mid basses and stuff in that progressive-y side of things. So yeah, I learned a lot from that track as well. It's awesome tune, awesome production.
So you ended up using that like as a reference while you were working on your music, or did you say you already finished? I'd already finished
my new Juve EP, but once I come across that track, I was like, okay, well I know that track sounds amazing because I've heard it out about a couple of times now. So then I sort of started to use that as a reference point to the sort of power that was needed
from now on.
From now on, yeah. And now then, so I've got a few little tracks that I'm going to sort of use as reference stuff, but that's the sort of style that I'm sort of going with my new sort of juice stuff, and maybe a bit dirtier than that.
So with going back to not using reference tracks, how was that for you? You just found that you just wanted to kind of keep your like creative process sort of, I guess, pure, or you didn't?
Exactly that. When I started to use some reference tracks, I started to copy.
Yeah.
I started to go, right, okay, well, my bass line's not quite as that, let's copy that. And then it's easy, side bass line's pretty easy to write. You've got your saw, and then you basically fit some filters and stick quadruples on it and a few EQs, and it's just as fat as everyone else's. But so that to me was easy. So okay, let's not make it as fat. Let's try and do something different with the, and that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But yeah, if you want that power on the dance floor and you really want it to work amongst the other tracks and sound different, you're going to need reference tracks, and that's something that I've sort of learned over the last sort of year or so. Really late learning it, but
yeah. But there also the element of like DJing, and like I think a good DJ will, and I know definitely John's done this, where like he'll put a certain track on loop because it has like a certain amount of drive in it, and he'll actually have say a classic track or something that doesn't quite have that same oomph, but he'll just basically borrow something from another track and just keep that level up just to So I know there's that sort of consider as well, like when you're DJing, is that you might actually have two tracks like it's not quite as whatever beefy or something, but like a good DJ should, or at least be able to maybe merge those tracks and have it blended long enough so you actually taper off that that big difference in sound, and by the end you don't really realize sort of where the sound's gone.
Yeah, do you know what? I had that recently with I can't remember the name of the track. It was called Power of Acid. I can't remember who's done it, and I was mixing another track out of it, and the mid bass and that was so powerful on it. As I was starting to bring the other track, I thought, this is not So I had to keep the mid bass of the track running literally to about halfway through until I got to the breakdown. No one really noticed at all, but it just kept that energy there. And as soon as I was bringing it out, I was like, no, it's just going to lose the energy on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And then after the breakdown, it came back in and no one noticed the difference at all. It sounded fine. And that's one thing I was going to mention, talk about breakdowns. There's too many breakdowns in tracks.
Like that, like the little mini breakdowns and then the main breakdown and another. Or are you talking about sort of the...
Well, the length of them. Like there's... I've been getting a lot of progressive sets recently. And to find some progressive tracks without like a 30-second or a minute long breakdown in the middle, it's nice to break it up every now and then to have a breakdown, but it loses so much energy on the dance floor if every track has them. People sort of stood around. So I found out quite recently I've been cutting the breaks out like mid-set, sort of just going through and just going, okay, I'm just going to interview that breakout and just cut it. So it will just kick straight back in again. And most of the people have not noticed and they've carried on dancing and loved it. You'll find the odd few that absolutely loved that track and wanted that breakdown, but I'd rather keep the sort of 99% happy and that odd one for that one track a bit sort of scratching their head. But
actually, I think I've noticed that with your, like, just picturing your waveforms, like you'll actually have like a fairly lengthy chunk. You might have 2/3 of your track starting from the intro. It's probably just all just bass line and melodies and stuff like that, and then you'll have your break just maybe in that last, I guess it's the second third, and then that last quarter of the track is the tail of your track. So that's something you're sort of conscious of when you make music. You don't want to do those things.
Yeah, I mean, I've hands up, I've had some epically long breakdowns. People have gone off and made a cup of tea and came back again, and it's still going. And you learn, you play those tracks out, and you sit there thinking, God, so I left again in the studio.
Actually, I've learned that lesson too, because like I primarily do like studio mixes, and they're great, lie on the couch and chill out, kind of like just listen to a set. And I have played sort of those sets live, and they don't translate as well. So you'll get the people looking on the floor and kicking something and scratching and looking around with those big breaks.
Yeah, and I think that's possibly where the selfie thing came from. That like we're all, and obviously certainly the next generation below, that it's very instant. You want everything instantaneously straight away. So when a big break comes on, it's like, right, let's take photographs, let's do this. It's sort of, they're out of the music. They're losing that flow to it. So yeah, I remember years ago that it would be like every 4 or 5 tracks you would have maybe a big breakdown, and in that moment just to get your breath back and maybe bring some big euphoric to the moment. But yeah, it seems quite a lot of tracks have epic breakdowns and triplets. I love triplets. Don't get me wrong, but so many good tracks out there, and it just kicks in. Here we go. And it's like, no, you're just coming with triplets with a glitched vocal, and just there's going through Beatport. There's 1,000 tracks that sound the same. You can go, no, it sounds the same as one before, sounds the same as one before, and it just keeps sounding the same. And that's one thing that people have said, that when they are going for Beatport, that at least when they click on something, they go, oh, this stuff sounds different. Oh, okay, let's just buy that because it sounds different. So hopefully my newer production will, with the power there, that will be a lot more. More sound.
I bet it will. I actually was going to ask you something, but you just said something great about Beatport and your track standing out, and I've just forgotten totally. I've got nothing at the moment, and I should have had extra notes, but I don't have any.
No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's me naturally.
Yeah. There was something about sorry, I remember something I was going to say. That Zosie track, that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
That the one, have you heard it?
Yeah. I know that. Yeah.
Oh God! I apparently it's an old track that he reconstructed. That he wanted to remaster it or remake it, and but he lost the files in his computer, so he just basically tried his best to rebuild it from memory. And but like he's got this thing where he'll have this massive, a massive build, and then an epic break, and then an epic finish. Like his tracks are like sometimes I can't even mix out of them because I don't want to. They're just like they're actually reaching their peak, like in literally like the last minute of the track. It's like it's really crazy.
Yeah. He's. I feel his Ricky's music's very like watching a film. It's like you don't want to leave off the beginning or the end of it. They're sort of each individual track's like an epic film or epic moment. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I certainly feel that with this. It's quite funny you mention that track because he was asking me if I wanted to do a remix of that, actually.
Well, I was going to ask you, have you actually worked with him before with anything or not really?
Yeah, we did work on a track, and it was okay, but I think we were trying to push things. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I played it out and it goes down cool, but I think we need to sort of, we did it over the internet and send it, and I think we actually need to go into the studio together to gel off each other.
We can get on his mothership.
Yeah, I need to take a trip up there. I've got a gig up there actually in December, so I may speak to Ricky and see if I can go up there for the weekend and do the gig and then jam in the studio with them and see if we can come up with something.
I think you guys would do something really good if you could, I guess, be in the same space.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. It does work for some people. I did work with Jonathan Allen from America, who signed Christopher Lawrence's label. I did do quite a lot of tracks with him actually over the internet. We went under the name Luca, so because he was in LA and I'm in the UK, so it was LA UK together.
Yeah,
Luca, and that was Trance, like Ferry Corsten, Armin. They all loved it. They were playing that stuff out. It was very trancey at the time, but we never continued. But it just seemed to work with him. We just did something and we sent back and forward, and people seemed to love it. But
I guess there is a thing like. You can. I'm not saying this about you and Ricky, but you can have those dream pairings, but they actually sometimes don't work. Like there's just the way people gel or don't gel, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah,
Same
I mean,
like
I love
football
Ricky.
Teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's he's lovely. He's great. He's super talented. But it's one of those things you just don't know until you probably sit down and do it.
Yeah. But Ricky seems like he's hitting his stride now, like in his, I guess he's like late 40s or something, isn't he? Or mid to late 40s?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's although he's had the similar sort of sound, he certainly seems to be defining it more and really getting there. I mean, the one thing I'd say is to think about as well is like you said about mixing this stuff in and out at the end. Is where is it going to suit in a club or a festival? Because it's so epic as well, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky enough to play his music at a gig recently, and I played. I think it might have been Pandoria. I think, and like people loved it. Like it was, and like the weird thing is where I am, like Joof sound. I think I'm the only guy up where I live in Darwin that actually plays that kind of music. So right. Everyone else jumped on the progressive psytrance bandwagon, and so all the local DJs like they think that Psy is just only that. There's all this other stuff as well, and but it was one of those things where like playing music that you guys make, it was almost like a bit of an experiment. Social experiment just to see sort of how it's received. And it was received really well. Like people really, really enjoyed the music and they enjoyed the set and love it.
Yeah, I think that's what you were just saying about the people that a lot of promoters sort of maybe look at the psytrance and go, okay, that's the commercially sort of progressive psytrancey sound or whatever. And I love that. I've got some of the stuff on my set as well that I played and the more and more sort of Steve Birch stuff that comes out, the more and more I'll do more of that. But yeah, people do when they're booking stuff, they go, okay, my progressive sets, for instance, I was playing at 3:00 in the morning, so I couldn't play sort of slower, more bass-driven progressive stuff because at that point they needed the full-on mid-bass stuff. Yeah, it needed to be what that sound was. Yeah. So yeah, it's I've forgotten where I was going with it. But yeah, it's difficult to like you're playing that sound out, and other people play that sort of progressive sound they think is the psytrance, but actually psytrance can be anything psychedelic. It doesn't have to have that certain sound. That's that sound of that psytrance. Ace Ventura Psytrance or whatever, that's his sound, that's their sound. Or,
yeah. Well, I think having all those, if you can get DJs in an event that, that you get the mixture, then everything stands out more. And then even though you could say that, your regular size done to death, if you've got that as a piece of a proper progressive night, every set will stand out and everything will have its own sort of unique kind of feel to it, and everything will sound better. That's what I reckon anyway. But
yeah, one of the best festivals I went to this year, like I said, we actually mentioned earlier on, was Noisily with John, and the programming there was amazing. The first DJ on the side stage was playing like psychedelic dub music. I love side dub, like Entheogenic and people like that, and Arts and OCT, amazing. And the first 3 or 4 DJs with that sort of getting a little bit harder. Then they had sort of, I can't remember the name now, Bedders and someone, I can't remember the other guy's name is, and they were playing progressive psytrance, but without that mid dum dum dum, bass going on, and that was lovely. And then by about 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, it went to proper progressive, what you'd know as chunky progressive psytrance, and then by sort of 10 o'clock it was full on, and like by the end of it, everyone was, fully go. You didn't want to leave the dance floor, because, it was a progression. Whereas you go to some places and it's that sound progressive from 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then people will come and go from the stages because it's just the same.
Exactly.
Whereas you found this one, people were starting to leave and go, oh no, this DJ's playing slightly different. Oh, what's this? And then they were all staying for that sound. So the organisers basically kept all the side people on the dance floor by having variety.
What did John end up doing on that one?
He was actually on the Noisily stage. He was playing more of his sort of, I'd say, sort of deep house techno-y sort of melodic stuff, some Eric Prissy sort of tracks in there, that sort of thing. In fact, he played on his Global Trance Grooves. He did have part of his set on there a few months ago. But yeah, I love John's set. Nice and deep, and nice progressive. And he knows when to drop the right tracks. At that point, you think, "Come on, give me a moment," and the next track is the moment. He's a genius. I've seen him twice, and they're life changing. The first one was life changing for sure. Set me on the path, and I think it's probably when I really started digging around, like for all the artists that are sort of related to him and what he does. He's. I get speechless sometimes if I talk about it. It's just likewise. He's in. I've seen him many times, and he's just insane. His DJing is just incredible, and you can see him come on. Like, he was playing at Boomtown a few years back, and he was playing in sort of late afternoon, and they, to be fair, that particular time they didn't really organise the sound very well. And before him was like someone was playing like 142 or 145 BPM, and it was in the afternoon. And the person before them were playing 140, so they jumped up, and he was asked to play progressive. So he was stood behind thinking, "What am I going to do?" Like, play first couple of tracks, people were an and the third or fourth track, full dance floor, and he dropped the speed by almost 10 BPM at one point, and it was like that man just knew what to do. And I would have been quite panicky at that point, thinking, "What am I going to do?" But he just fully got on there and just did his job.
Do you get to, actually, speaking of like DJing and panicking, do you do much back-to-back stuff with people, or?
No, I don't. Did do years ago when I was house parties. But I just I don't. I like to. I'm thinking 3-4 tracks ahead, and I used to get really nervous when I DJ, but that changed 3 or 4 years ago. Don't ask me why. I don't know why, but I've just. Well, actually, someone said to me, when you get nervous, turn it into excitement. It's the same energy. So anytime I get nervous now, I go, I'm so excited, and now I've got so saying it that I get really excited before I get excited.
It's mindset, isn't it? It is mindset.
Yeah, it is mindset. Yeah. So no, I've not done the back-to-back thing. I'm not opposed to it, but I just, for me, it's I like to sort of have control of where it's going, and not if someone takes it off in a direction I wasn't expecting. I don't know. I'm very OCD. So, someone was talking about this the other day about people with different DJs, and like some people they're touching mix the whole time, not doing anything, and I sort of laugh. I know some people are making it look like they're doing something by doing that, but sometimes I find myself touching the mixer because I'm OCD and I'm just checking, make sure it's all in the right place. Yeah.
I think I got a bad habit of just like wiping dust off mixers and stuff like that. So I look.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, mid fiddle, like cleaning a knob whilst I'm doing. And sometimes I've been so having it dancing. Like there's been a couple of occasions recently, been absolutely loving it, and like realised like, oh shit, I've got a minute to go, and I'm like, almost forgot I'm mixing, you know.
Yeah, I think I've done that too. Actually, you get into the track, or someone's gone and talked to you for a little bit. I've got a cat meowing at me at the moment. Go away, cat. I messaged you about this, but like the biggest reason for doing this kind of segment, which I don't think I actually properly explained to you. So basically, I did put it on the Facebook post, but it's, there's just a gazillion DJ mixes out there that you can listen to, and there's a gazillion like podcasts, but I think the interview format like isn't really there. And like I've done the thing where you ask someone's, hey, can you just send a recording through and, just say this or just do that. And it's difficult because, if you were doing that, you'd be talking to a vacuum. You're not really interacting with anyone. It's kind of not as natural. So I just really wanted to try and bridge that gap between, like people who listen to your music and music like your music, and just get a better connection with everyone. And you get to see the human side of people too, like yourself, and you're just a real person like anybody else.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. This, I know I see John anyway, and he doesn't live too far from me, but it's interesting when he puts up videos, or anyone puts up videos of them even in the studio just talking, or there's an interview that happens, and you're right, you can sit down and read an interview, you're not getting that same feel for it. It's not organic like this feels like, Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's great what you're doing.
And DJ sets are pretty, you can listen to some great ones, but sometimes like they're just music, and sometimes you just need to kind of like see or hear like where that DJ set comes from,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, in a world of technology and digital communication, I think humanizing stuff as much as possible is only going to be a positive thing, a good thing, really.
Yeah, that's good. It's awesome.
Because you can put up posts, you can put up anything you want, but till actually someone gets to see your personality or hear your personality, or it can be, they can make their own decision of what they feel you're like, I suppose.
Yeah, how many interviews have you done?
Like this, none.
Yeah,
I've had a few radio ones where they phoned up and they're playing the track, and they've just like Radio 1, for instance, when Dave Pearce was on and people like that, and Just Jules. The odd phone call here and there, but that was a quick sort of, hi, just playing the track, where you're off to, the card sort of journey one, and that's it. But I think it's great, and I'm looking forward to hearing who else you're going to have on, and no doubt Ricky will be on, so I really look forward to.
Yeah, I think he'll be keen. He's actually, I feel like he's really coming out of his shell too, because one of the things that when I first sort of was trying to get in contact with him a couple of years ago, the thing was he was really shy and a bit introverted, and he was like just, like I guess most regular people are. But when we did when Chris Hines and I did the neon celebration set that we did, I did a set and Chris did a set, and then he did a special neon set. He was super keen to do like a intro and speak and explain sort of, why he did what he did. And I just thought, you know what? I think it's time to actually push for, actually sit down and have a chat with people, and it's really good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I certainly think it's a great idea. Just like I say, it brings some sort of human element to it.
I'll definitely hit him up for it, I think. Ricky, I think, like you said, I think he'll be keen. Yeah, maybe one for John in the future. Actually, about John, he's in that God level status. Like I'm just too. I'm sure he'd do this, and I'm sure he'd love it. But I'm just sort of like, I just don't know if I'm there yet to ask him.
No, as it progresses, see how it goes. But as and when, just we're sure we can ask the question, can't we? So
yeah, I need to level up a few times, hey.
But well, yeah, you don't know, do you? You don't know. But I've certainly not heard of anything like this. And I think it's much needed in a scene where there's so many profiles and, like you say, so many things going up online, and a lot of people saying the same sort of things. You know, check out my mix, check this out. And
yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. Have you got any new stuff coming out?
Pardon?
Have you got any new stuff like you're working on?
Yeah, I do. I've got. I'm probably just like everybody else. I think I've got about 7 in progress. I usually get about 3/4 through and get frustrated, and then I need to refresh and start again. I guess like the process is getting better. I find that the work flows faster. I can get to similar stages in generally in less time. So that's always been the frustrating part earlier on, was that it just took me so long to get to something that I thought was kind of okay, where now it takes me less time. And I did finish something, and I'd sent it to CJ Art just as a what do you call it, I didn't want it signed. I was just a bit of a industry kind of thing, just listen to this, you know, where's it at? And he said he loved it, and he said he wanted it. So he's got the stems for it. So
awesome.
but then I've listened to it since, like a couple of months after, and I don't like it. So
oh, I could give you a long list like that.
So it's just like I've learned so much just in that time frame from when I sent those stems off to what I'm doing now, and I'm just like, oh my god, listen to that! Like that's just lazy, and that's just this, and that's just that. So, but you know, that's the thing though. Like, it's a weird mental state that you get in, because you obviously, when you make something, you know where everything's going to happen. You know that little blip and that little crash and that little swoosh is all going to happen at that moment. But someone that's never heard it before, they just hear it as for what it is. And it's hard to actually step outside the track and then listen to it just for what it is. I don't think you can ever do it.
No, that is, I was chatting to my friend about this the other day, actually. It's really hard to listen back to tracks, because I found an old CD, and I found an old track, an old trance track, and I completely forgotten I'd written it. Can't even remember that I'd written it. And even now I'm like, how did I do that effect in that? And I'm starting listening to it as another person. Yeah. And it's like, even now there's a certain bit on it, I don't know how I even did that. But one thing I have found is that if I listen to my music after I've meditated, so I go into real deep meditation, and then listen to one of my tracks afterwards, I'm suddenly viewing it and listening to it and not analysing it. And that's the closest I can get to. Or once a year I take a lot of psychedelics, and then listen to my music, and then you're just a completely different person.
That's good.
It's a very hard, totally agree with you, that's such a hard thing to separate.
Yeah.
Because you listen to it, well, I know this bit's coming next, and now you're not listening to it because you're already listening and waiting for the next bit that you're not sure of or whatever. So you never listen to it properly, fully.
Nah, I send works in progress to Adam Thomas.
I love Adam. He's lovely. Yeah, he's awesome.
Funny guy.
It's great.
He likes to listen to stuff just for his own personal pleasure. And then it also gives him, like, even shit that I do, like, it'll give him an idea, and he'll be, oh shit, I like that. I might try that with something that he's doing. He says, and then he's just keen to give me a few tips, and he'll usually give me a tip about something, and that's probably what I like about, I guess, this underground scene, is that the people involved that are down to earth, like yourself, like Adam, really approachable people. So you can be someone who's like just starting out, and as long as, you know, you're, I guess, respectful, and they're, you know, you guys are happy to you know, help out, give advice, support.
Yeah, that's one thing I found, and certainly with the side stuff, and, like, you know, or even the Juicy underground scene, that all the DJs big each other up. They're not like, there's some DJs I've seen. I'm like, oh mate, you're amazing. Like, oh, I saw your set, you're great. Then no one's sort of like very, oh, you're right, yeah, you're right, DJ. Yeah, I've heard of you or whatever. And just sort of, it's all, everyone's fully loves each other, and sort of it's really trying to support each other, and that you don't find that in a lot of scenes. And
No.
I have been in and out of different things. I was in the drum bass scene for a while under a different name. I've written pop music, so I've written pop producers, and none of no, they don't seem to sort of do it like this scene does anyway.
It's interesting. I do you know why? I can't think of the reason why. Is it just the
only thing? No, I don't. The only thing I can say with certainly the psychedelic side of things is there's less ego.
Yeah.
So whether that's to do with the psychedelics or the actual scene itself, the ego just doesn't seem to be there. Yeah, I mean, I've chatted to some people, and both of us have not even exchanged our names, and both realised afterwards that he was like a really famous producer I was talking to, and he said, saying, "Mate, I didn't realise you were Steve that was signed to Duke." I was like, "I didn't realise you were that guy." But we like both, just not talks about. We were just talking about other people's music and like the love for other stuff, and never actually got around to talking about our own stuff or whatever. But it was only later on we connected on the internet. We're like, "Oh, you're that person."
Yeah, wow.
So that does happen in some of the scenes. But yeah, I think it's just maybe ego based really. I just want to go out and have a good time and party with lovely people, and that's what it's about to me. So regardless if they're a DJ, producer, or someone just dancing on the stage, or on the dance floor, everyone's the same.
Well, it sounds like the scene's healthier where you are. Was it fair? I guess you don't know my scene, but it just sounds like you've got a good, like, you've got gigs you can do, you've got gigs you can go to, and you've got loads of artists you can rub shoulders with. And
yeah, just, I mean, I've got to travel around with the UK, but it's not a very big place, so
yeah.
So for a lot of my furthest gigs, maybe 6 hours away max. But
Driving.
I'll find that when I go there, there'll be half of the people I saw down the London clubs that were coming up to this one. It was same little crowd again, or same sort of people, and some of the same DJ. So yeah, it becomes like a family. Really. It's and even when I was at one of the festivals recently, Goa Creed, I was on Hidden Acoustics. By the way, he's another producer I absolutely love at the moment. Hidden Acoustics, amazing stuff. Check him out.
Hidden Acoustics. Yep, I'll check it out.
Acoustics, amazing. So I'm dancing on dance floor, and I had like Laugh and Buddha, just two people in front of me, and Tristan to the right of me, properly having it on the dance floor.
Tristan.
So it's like, just sort of loving it. And like, I had one girl chatting to her, and she said, "Oh, it was lovely." I said, "Do you know who that is?" She said, "No." I was like, "That's Tristan. He's playing it." She was like, "Oh my god, I love his music." But
no shirt as standard.
He had his shirt on, but to be fair, it was raining.
Yeah.
So it was raining outside. So, but yeah, when he was DJing, shirt came off.
Is that just his trademark?
I don't know. Maybe abroad, but not so much in the UK. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that energy with them being there and just not worry, not just hiding behind the decks, and then going off to the next gig. I know you've got to do that sometimes, and I had to do it. I played 2 weekends ago. I was somewhere and I had to travel off 3 hours, and then somewhere else 3 hours after that. Didn't get the time to stay at any parties, but
actually, the night that we were supposed to do this interview, you had a gig and you got home late. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a bit of my own fault there. We piled on till the club finished at 2:00, and then went on to another one afterwards, just for a little bit, and then went back to my friend's house to sort of some tea and some smokes and that, and I just didn't get home till about 6:30, and then ended up sleeping all day.
Yeah.
Literally all day. Then woke up, missed the interview with you, and I was like, no, and then had to like try to sleep because I'd work the next day as well. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was actually in the middle of my week off. I work 2 weeks at a time, and then I have a week off. So I forget that regular people have like jobs, and like I just assume that everyone's got free time, and they don't. So yeah,
right.
Apologies there. Yeah.
No, that's fine. No.
I was waiting by the computer for hours. I was like, "Oh, he'll be here soon. He'll wake up. But then I thought, nah, he's partied out and he'll recover.
Yeah, I shouldn't have promised. I should have known. I thought I was well behaved. So I don't I don't drink alcohol or take any drugs or anything. You know, my psychedelics a few times a year for me, and that's it. So I was very well behaved. It was just a tired thing. I was so tired.
Yeah. So the psychedelics thing, that's just it's just something you do like a what would you call it? I guess it's a ritual for you, is it?
Yeah, I always took them once a year, not realising that they were actually quite therapeutic. And I'm actually part of the UK psychedelic trials in London, where they're giving psilocybin, magic mushrooms to people for depression and anxiety. And they're doing a documentary on me. So once that comes out, I'll show you sort of links to that.
Yeah, wow. So is that like just trace elements of it, or just a proper like psilocybin?
But they give you proper full dose of it. 3.5 grams intravenously or for a tablet. And you sit there for 8 hours with the psychologist, therapist, all these sort of things. And I've managed to go on top of most of my stuff anyway with meditation and various things. But yeah, I just found that psychedelics twice a year, once on my own, and then once at safe festival with friends, and a very low dose. And yeah, I just find they just, all the negative loops in my head get stuck in. The next day they've just vanished. Anything depressive I've been thinking about seems to just sort of disperse. And they're showing it through the brain scans that they do sort of in a very positive way, sort of reset your mind and give you sort of more growth for the future.
Yeah, I've never actually used any. I've learnt most of the stuff through music and just the conversations that I had around it. But I guess what I'm asking is like the common thing that I've found. This is not a what do you call it? Not a drug related question. It's more on the psychological side, like artists and things like people like that. They tend to have that kind of, they have the heavily like creative side, but then there's that real like dark, like depressive side that they can fall into, myself included. I've been there. Yeah. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's horrendously bad. Yeah, sometimes I've spent weeks in bed and not got out, and you'll notice those times because I won't be on the internet. But those periods have got less and less over the years, and psychedelics certainly do help. But yeah, the mindset of stuff with the creativity side of things, I think you do wear your heart on your sleeve, very much so. And you're very open and very aware and very, I'm not saying that other people aren't, but just maybe more so. And that seems to be, it seems a lot of them seem to be DJs. Don't know why, can't explain it. But it does give you, the creativity side of things, especially what I had with my bipolar in my high times when I was, high on the bipolar thing, some of the creativity way out there.
And like the low points, is there something to tap into creatively in those, or you find that you can't get much done?
No, I can't. I normally write songs, and that's when I've written a lot of songs for bands and different people and stuff along the way over the years, sold them to them and that sort of thing. And that's sometimes where I write down poetry stuff, maybe. But it's more trying to express feelings. But I can't sit down in front of the computer and write music. I've tried, and it just comes out very dark and horrible.
Yeah.
And then not nice to listen back to afterwards necessarily. But when I come out of it, when I come out of the depression and everything else, then I can use those elements to make music with. That makes sense.
So you actually tap into the dark elements, but you're sort of, I guess you're up at the top of the abyss looking down rather than on the bottom looking up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that works. That's smart.
I mean, if you're writing love songs and writing all that, I can imagine being really depressed and being having a heartbreak was great for the music, but to write, sort of uplifting music, it's not good. Right, I'm gonna have to crack on back into get on some work, I'm afraid.
That's all right. I've got to get to bed soon. I got work tomorrow. The week off is done. So I've realised I've got a mountain of work to do. There's a load of footage here, and I'll probably end up having to do like 1 mega YouTube upload. It'll be audio, but I'll put a little bit of music through the background maybe. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet.
Well, if you want one of my new GIF tracks to use for it, maybe you're more welcome to.
Awesome. Is that okay to get aired on the show, or
yeah,
a portion of it, or not really?
When you think about putting it out?
The next couple of days, depending on how long it takes me to go through this.
What I could do, not because no one's heard any of my GIF stuff at all. Like only a few people. I've not put anything online, so maybe I could give like a 10-second clip.
Yeah, that's maybe. Fine. If you're allowed.
Just people to go, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll speak to John.
Yeah, of course. Do the right thing.
Yeah.
Don't want to burn that bridge when I go to hit him up, and he goes, "You're that guy that played that track too soon."
Yeah, you're the one that ruined that. Yeah. Yeah, you're the one. Yeah. That's very true. All right, well, it's lovely speaking to you and that, and yeah, cool, awesome carrying on with the music, dude, and look forward to hearing more from you.
I'll send you some stuff once I feel I'm happy-ish with it. You can have a listen. Let me know what you think.
That's brilliant. Awesome.
So yeah, appreciate the time you set aside for it and being open and honest, especially about all the the real personal stuff too. Like a lot of people. I mean, I'm the same. I'll always talk about my personal stuff. Some people won't, but I really appreciate that you want to talk about that sort of stuff. So.
No, that's fine. And if you feel there's anything that needs to be redone, just let me know. We can re-record anything. It's cool.
Nah, I think it'll be fine. I'll be chopping some stuff out. Probably just a few goofs on my end here. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, dude. All right. Well, look, take care, and I'll look forward to hearing it, man.
Yep. No worries. Thank you very much.